You may be seated. I would like to request that for the duration of the service, all cell phones and electronic devices be silenced or powered down. We're here this morning to remember, recall, reflect, memorialize, honor, mourn, and also to celebrate the life of a very special woman, a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, a spouse, a friend, Paula Pepe Roberts, Zichrona Livracha, of most blessed memory. As is my custom, I always invite my colleague and friend, Cantor Yossi Caravani, the Chazan here at Old Westbury Hebrew Congregation, to begin. He's going to sing for us Psalm 23, which I will then translate from the Hebrew.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר, בי נודה שירביצני על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובר, ינחני, במעגלי צדק למען שמו, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה, אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
A Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me in the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley with the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. It's also my custom that I invite family members to speak first on behalf of their loved one. This morning is no exception. So in this order, I'm going to be inviting up one after the other consecutively her children, Kathy, then Michael, then Deborah, then Lori, then grandchildren, Ari, Josh, Ariella, Lily, and Isabella Morrison, then Danny, Matt, and Jack, and finally the in-laws, Eddie, Michelle, and Lou.
Intellectually, I knew this day would come, but I never really believed that she would go on forever. Thank you, everyone, for coming here today to honor my mother. Everyone outside, was saying the same thing. She was a legend. She was larger than life. So to talk about her in a few words is impossible. So I will do my best to be brief. It's truly an intense honor to stand here before you to speak about my mom as her oldest child. I will be brief, as I know this family is large, and many of us would like to say something about her. My mom was so many things to so many people, and I was blessed to have her in my life for so many years. She was a woman of so many accomplishments, too many to even name. I know the one accomplishment she was most proud of was her family. She told me that growing up, her childhood memories were not always the fondest, and it was her goal that her family come first and be the most important thing. It was the most important to create a close and loving family. Mom, you certainly did accomplish that. Personally, these last several years, I've been blessed to have spent so much time with her. She taught me values of family and goodness. I will cherish these times together and the wisdom that she gave me. Her kindness, warmth, and generosity has touched so many of us. Her touch extended well beyond her immediate family of her 5 children, 15 grandchildren, and 8 great-grandchildren. She was a mother to thousands of children that were fortunate enough to spend time at Robin Hood, the sanctuary she created with my father. Her high standards will always remain with me as I try to pass along to my children and grandchildren the values that she stood for. For anyone familiar with Wicked, we have all been changed for good by knowing my mother. She died peacefully in her own bed at Lori and Lou's home, which they so lovingly and graciously provided for her, and I will always be grateful to them for that. She died as she lived, with her loving family around her, just as she would want. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, well, besides all her friends and everyone here, 3 very, very important people that made our lives and my mother's life so much better. Donna, who's been with my mom for 7 years and is part of our family. Andrea, who helped my mom whenever she could. And Vilma, who so lovingly and passionately cared about my mom in her last 30 days and was with her at the moment that she passed. Mom, I will hold you
I won't be so brief. When my family walked down, going off script first, and I'll go on script. When my family walked down, it really reminded me of the Kennedy family. And I've really heard that so often in my life. Always heard that so often in my life, that our family is like the Kennedys in many ways. So, thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Cantor. Good morning. On behalf of my family, I want to thank you all for coming. If you have the good fortune to live to age 96, this is not a tragedy. This is a pure, pure celebration of life. My mom was the epitome of a rock star. The definition of the word GOAT, the greatest of all time. I think when they came up with that years ago, they had my mom in mind, because my mom truly was the greatest of all time. And most importantly, my mom, in addition to being a rock star, was the matriarch of this incredible, incredible clan. And I'm telling you, it's a clan. Wow, Mom, what you and Dad created. There aren't many Jewish families, at least not super religious families, that have 5 children. But Mom, once you started going, you couldn't stop. On behalf of Kathy and Eddie, Mikkel and Jeff, Cole and Lila, Ari and Corey, Levi and Larkin, my brother Glenn, Jacob and Jen, Sam and Josh, Deborah and David, Ariella and Josh, Izzy and Mike, Gussie and Dana, and Lily, Lori and Lou, Gabrielle and Ben. I almost forgot Nate and Georgia, I'm so sorry. Thank God someone read this. Nikki and John, Asher and Stella, myself, Matt and Lexi, Jack and Danny. Did I forget somebody?
Jack and Maddie.
Maddie. Who did I forget? Oh, sorry, James. I love James. I love you. Danny and Evan. I knew I'd forget somebody. Wow. 40 people in our 40 in our immediate family. Mom, we were raised such a clan, and we were raised by the best people, by you and Dad. Not many people could say that their mother, and my father for that matter, did not have a mean bone in their body. My mom just did not have a bad bone in her body. She really didn't, and neither did my father. And I hope Michelle and I teach that to our children, but it's one thing that wherever we go, everyone loved my mom. Michelle's erasing, so I could go a little. I promised to be under 8 minutes. I probably said that with just the kids. Just tell briefly about my mom. In 1961, my mom had the vision to leave Forest Hills and move to Roslyn, where I was born and raised in 1961, and my entire family in 1961, before Roslyn was as hot as it is now. Charlene, her best friend, is here for many years, lived down the block. It's great to see you, Charlene. And we had great times at the Roslyn house. Lots of drinking, lots of drugs, lots of sex, a lot of really great times at that house. My mom.
Off script, guys.
I wasn't going to ask her to come up, but in 1957, my mom, without telling my dad, my mom in 1957 without telling my dad, had the vision to purchase 15 acres for $40,000 in Brookville to buy Robin Hood, which is truly the most special place, a forest, a dream, creating lasting memories for thousands and thousands of children. Wherever our family went, whether it be Europe, whether it be Hunan, anywhere, my mom was stopped, and my father, to say, Paula, Gene, what you've done for our family. We got so many texts, so many emails. I didn't go through all of them, but one was interesting that said, your mom was everyone's mom on the North Shore, and that's because of Robin Hood. Stop. Michelle Race took some of my pages away. In 1964, my mom had the foresight to buy water in the Springs of East Hampton in 1964, way beyond. There was 2 restaurants there, way beyond anyone's thinking about East Hampton. My mom found the springs. My father said, we don't have to buy something on the water. My mom goes, there's no reason to be in East Hampton. We can stay in Roslyn if we're not on the water. And my mom was really, truly the brains behind everything, whether it be East Hampton, whether it be Robin Hood, whether it be Florida. My mom was truly shrewd, smart genius who ran everything. She was a real visionary in all the major decisions. My father was the smiley one and the person that was great at running Robin Hood, but my mom was the true business person. To continue this journey, I'm going to go quicker now. To continue this journey, my parents bought in 1977 a 1-bedroom apartment in Miami on 59th and Collins. Michelle and I live now on 60th and Collins. And she raised 8 people at the Maison Grand in a 1-bedroom. Our best memories were when we didn't have any money and we were living at the Maison Grand with 1 bedroom. My parents lived in the 1 bedroom. There was a tiny little kitchen. In the living room, Kathy, Lori, and Debbie slept on a couch. Then there was a divider, and me, my brother-in-law, Eddie, and my brother Glenn slept on the couch. And by far, those were the best times in a 1-bedroom. From Miami, went to Pompano, and then ended up with all the Jews in Boca Raton. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Howard, my mom's boyfriend for about 10 years after my father passed away. Just for the record, we don't believe my father or mother ever kissed somebody in their lives. They had the most special marriage in the world. My mom was 17 when she got married, and we're looking through some of these love letters that are just absolutely incredible. Before they met, they were sending love letters, at least my father was, and my mom finally fell in love with him. As Kathy already said, Donna, Andrea, and Vilma, you guys are amazing. The care you gave my mom, your friendship you gave my mom, we will never, ever forget. We will cherish it forever. You will be part of the Roberts family forever. Lastly, I want a special thanks to my sister Lori and my brother-in-law Lou for having my mom live with them for the last 19 years, making her laugh, taking care of her every day, loving her so much, taking care of the entire family. There aren't that many people that would do that, and you guys did it with such grace, such dignity, and I love you forever for that. I'd like to thank my sisters, Kathy and Debbie, for always being there. Mom, you are the true brains. Your grace, your elegance, your beauty, your charm, your generosity, your kindness have given us all the best lives. Mom, it's time to be with Dad, and it's time to be with Glenn. We love you, Mom. Rest in peace.
Mom, it's too loud, good? Okay. Mom had a mission, and that mission was to help others. She not only worried about our immediate family, but all her friends, and our friends, and the grandchildren's friends. She made it a point to never miss a special occasion, sending home made cookies or knitted garments, pickles or flowers. One day, my mom needed some help, and a friend suggested she call a lovely woman named Adela. I would like to share Adela's testimony with you. This weekend, Adela called Lori and asked if she could visit. She came late in the morning and left well into the night. Bear with me for a sec. This is Adela's words. My journey with the Roberts family began in 1993, arriving with little work experience and not speaking much English. I was met with nothing but warmth and respect in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Roberts. I found not just a place of refuge, but a family that embraced me with open arms. From the very beginning, Mrs. Roberts made it clear that I was more than a guest in her home. I was family. Her caring spirit and gentle concern were evident in everything she did. Over time, I came to discover just how generous and selfless Mrs. Roberts truly was. It wasn't just in the grand gestures, but in the countless small acts of kindness that seemed to come without hesitation. Whether it was helping me with my children, offering advice, or simply listening when I needed someone to talk to, she always made me feel seen, heard, and valued. Her constant question, "How was your family?" was not just a polite inquiry, it was a reflection of how deeply she cared about the lives of those around her. When my youngest son, David, was born, Mrs. Roberts welcomed us with a crib and toys from her own grandchildren. She took me to medical checkups as if I were her own child. And when my family needed a place to stay, she opened up her home to us. She went so far as to even ask her chef, Pablo, from Robin Hood, to make sure our dinners were well taken care of. These acts of love and service, though countless, were never expected or demanded. They were simply the way Mrs. Roberts lived, generously and without hesitation. But Mrs. Roberts' generosity didn't just extend to me. It reached my whole entire family. My children had the privilege of attending Robin Hood Day School, where they enjoyed some of the best and most memorable memories of their childhood. They still talk about those summers today, filled with laughter and joy and the freedom to enjoy the camp without restrictions. It was a time they will forever hold in their hearts. When my daughter, Anna, received a full scholarship to Cornell University, Mrs. Roberts celebrated this achievement as it was her own achievement. She shared in our pride and our joy, and her support continued even after Anna left college. Every time we drove to Ithaca, Mrs. Roberts happily offered her black Lexus for us to use. It was just another example of how she always went above and beyond for those who she loved. But perhaps one of the most profound gifts Mrs. Roberts gave me came when she asked, "Why don't you purchase a house?" It was her idea to say, "Come, stay with us, stay in our apartment at Robin Hood." And they stayed for 4 months so that they could save up for their own home. It wasn't just an offer, it was an act of deep, deep care and a belief in our future. I don't think I've ever known anyone with so much goodness in their heart, someone so willingly able to share everything they had to help others succeed. Mrs. Roberts had a remarkable way of making everyone feel like they were part of the family, whether it was children, grandchildren, friends, or anyone else she encountered. She made sure we all felt her love and importance. The essence of kindness, generosity, and love is something that will live on in all of us who were touched by her life. Her family, her children, her grandchildren carry that same spirit of giving, and I know they will continue to honor her legacy every day. As I reflect on my time with the Roberts family, I can say with all my heart that I am forever grateful. Grateful to God for bringing them into my life. Grateful to Mrs. Roberts for the love and respect and kindness she showed me and my family. Grateful for the countless ways she enriched our lives, always offering us the very best of herself. Lastly, Mrs. Roberts often told me, "You are part of our family." And indeed, she made us feel like we truly were. I have no doubt that the kindness she shared with so many will be richly rewarded as she has touched the lives of so many people in ways that will never be forgotten. Rest in peace, Mrs. Roberts. You will be deeply missed by love and legacy, and your legacy will live in our hearts. Thank you for everything. And here's Adela and her beautiful son, George. Mom, I love you.
If I can't get through this, Gabrielle's my assistant. How lucky am I to have had such a wonderful mother and role model in my life. And my mom was also fortunate to be always surrounded by our amazing family, who was with her at home until her last breath. I don't remember a night in my lifetime that my mom was ever alone. We are so grateful to her extraordinary caregivers, Donna, Andrea, and Vilma, whose kindness and devotion extended her life and made her final years more comfortable and filled with dignity.
For the past 20 years, Mom lived with our family in East Williston, becoming a daily part of our children's lives. They learned countless lessons from her, but most important was observing how she treated people. My friends and our children's friends all knew Grandma Paula. Her warmth was felt by everyone, and she touched so many lives. Our house will always feel her absence. She worried about everyone and everything. She worried if you were eating, what you were eating, and if you had enough to eat. She mostly worried about her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. She taught us to always treat people the way you would want to be treated. She had an uncanny memory for phone numbers and addresses. If you mentioned a name, whether it was a Robin Hood family or a friend she met 50 years ago, she could recite their phone numbers and address, a trait she has passed on to me. She never forgot a birthday or anniversary. She had cards filled out months ahead, labeled with the day that they should be mailed. She was the best delegator. She wasn't shy about asking whoever was nearby to do a task for her. And no matter who you were, you complied. She was a wonderful cook and baker. Her matzo ball soup, chocolate mousse, and apple cake will survive for generations. She has sent her famous chocolate chip cookies to many in this room. She taught us important lessons, like never taking the first table in a restaurant and never settle for the first hotel room they offer you. This was before Michelle came into the valley. She loved her candy, especially Baby Ruth bars, ham and cheese sandwiches, and chewing on a great steak bone. She taught us it is never too late to do the right thing. Every night when I said goodnight to her, she would ask, "What's going on for tomorrow?" She wanted to get out of the house every day, do an activity, and continue to travel. At 90, we did a girls' trip to Berlin. And a week after hospice came, she said she wanted to go to London to visit the Queen. Only 3 weeks ago, she was still playing bingo and even won $14 the very last time she played. That same day, she was scanning the room at the senior center, looking for a potential boyfriend, since her previous boyfriend, Howard, had died 4 years prior. Family meant everything to her. We treasured our many Roberts reunion vacations. That was at one point all 30 of us, but the numbers are just growing and growing. I will miss our nightly dinners, our Sunday mornings watching CBS Sunday Morning, when Lou always delivered her a bagel topped with lox or whitefish, and our Sunday nights watching 60 Minutes. I will miss her asking at least 20 times a day, "Where is Lou?" Despite knowing the answer was always the same, at work. I will cherish the incredible memories we had growing up in East Hampton, and always think of her when watching the incredible sunsets. I know often when people age, sometimes they get bitter, but never my mom. She was so nice to everyone, and everyone loved her in return. Every night we had dinner together, she always would say, "Thank you, Lori and Lou, for dinner." She would apologize to her aides for keeping them up at night, and she would apologize to me for driving her places or to doctor's appointments because she thought she was ruining my day. I would remind her that this was my pleasure after all the years she spent chauffeuring us around. She inspired me to be the best mother, grandmother, wife, sibling, and friend, and yes, warrior. And warrior. A piece of her will always live on in me. I just want to conclude with something I read on the plane coming back from Portland when I got the call from Mom when Mom was ill. A study found that loneliness in older adults, especially mothers, is linked to early death and declining health. But here's the beautiful part. Spending time with your mom doesn't just make you feel good. It can literally help her live longer. Mom, I agree with the study, and I'm only sorry you didn't make it until 97.
Thank you for all being here today. When I think back to my core memories, my grandma Paula figures prominently. The feeling of walking into a vat of matzo ball soup, the second you walk into the garage door at 115 Poplar, or snuggling up with her to be read a book by Dr. Seuss or Chris Van Allsburg. Or when I was in elementary school and started my first business of selling chocolate chip cookies that she probably baked only, and I sold to her neighbors, and she probably paid them back. Or traveling to London for my bar mitzvah and learning much about culture, about plays, and about always refusing the first seat at a restaurant. I'm one of Paula's 15 grandchildren, the second oldest, and we were all very fortunate to enjoy many memories that she was figured behind. The controlled chaos of large family dinners, my grandpa joking with the kids or the punks, throwing challah bread across the table, while my grandma was working tirelessly in the kitchen, making sure everybody was well fed. When a mishmash of us kids would cram into the red convertible after a long day at camp and be taken to the movies or back to her house for a play date. My cousins and I got to enjoy breaks from the bitter northern cold and go down to Boca Raton and spend days with her at the beach or with her poolside. And of course, we got to get our unforgettable family get-togethers watching the slow, dreamy sunsets on the back porch of East Hampton. As we got older and went to college, some of us to Ivy League schools, some to grad schools, and all across the country, our grandma still acted as our biggest cheerleader, sending us care packages and shoe boxes filled with chocolate chip cookies, and hand-knitted blankets made with love by Grandma Paula. And as we became adults, and many of us lawyers or teachers, or entered beauty contests, or into crypto, or into the recreational marijuana business, our grandma would cheer us on unconditionally. These are truly some of the greatest memories anyone could ask for from a grandma, and my Grandma Paula was the matriarch behind it. But that's not all. Over 5 decades, along with my grandfather, she supplied beautiful memories for countless campers, counselors, and other staff members at Robin Hood. Taking the yellow bus down a rickety country road, magically being transported from the suburbs into the forest, where many, and myself included, learned to swim, swing a baseball bat, shoot her first bow and arrow, have a first job, learn how to identify poison ivy, and won a Stanley Cup in street hockey. I'm sure many could close their eyes and imagine Pablo's fried chicken or the chocolate chip cookies at the nurse's office. By all accounts, my grandma had a sad childhood, and she made it her life mission to spread joy. She poured all of herself into making her family happy and poured that same devotion into making sure every camper at Robin Hood was also just as happy. But even beyond that, she treated every person that entered her life like family, and the best type of family you could ask for. Loving and not judging, smiling, safe, welcoming, and supportive. The fact that so many people can look back at their happiest memories and that she was behind it is truly an incredible legacy and a life well spent. I love you, Grandma, and thank you for everything.
Wow, what a turnout. It just goes to show how a million little actions can touch the lives of so many and truly change the world. Grandma, P, Cookie, Queen, look at all of the lives you touched. Look at all of the beauty that you created with your life. This is only a sad day because there won't be any more memories to make together. But honey, you sure did live life to the very fullest. Every day was special. As you've always said, we make plans and the big guy upstairs laughs. I'll do my best to laugh through the tears with both of you today. Each one of us has our own stories and relations and versions of Paula, a one-of-a-kind woman with the sweetest soul and a boundless hunger for life. And bones. So many bones. Give that woman a bone and she was a happy camper. It was her simplest joy. Another lesson that will stay with me forever. Find your joy and live in it. Feverishly hold on to it and don't let go. I'm standing up here to share some of my stories with deep love, respect, and admiration for my grandmother, my best friend, and my hero. Paula was always a very strong woman from what I understood, with a fever and tenacity for life that was bountiful beyond measure. She built her life from the ground up, from a young girl in Queens to a leader to so many. She did it all unapologetically. Paula also found Jean and shared over 50 beautiful years with her partner, creating everlasting memories, bearing 5 children and a shit ton of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Their love story wasn't always perfect, but they built a modern-day fairy tale together that set the bar pretty high for the rest of us Roberts. She didn't take no for an answer and stayed determined to succeed in all that she did, starting with the name change from Rottenstein to Roberts before she would accept a ring. Whether it was building a business, cooking, baking, childbearing, knitting, or remembering to send handwritten birthday cards to everyone she loved, and so much more, she was a woman that made the time to do it all. She made every moment count. It was the little things that she did that revealed her true character, the nuanced ways that her actions spoke for her soul. P never forgot to remind you she cared about you. She always showed up, put together and prepared for any occasion. She graciously gave of herself and selflessly sacrificed time and time again for the betterment of others. She felt blessed and wanted to share her blessings with the world. Paula built a family of over 30 and counting, and still found time for others and to give back. She not only welcomed hundreds of kids into her homes, neighbors, friends, family, but also opened her heart to thousands of children over the years, between teaching, weekend camp, and ultimately a camp of her own, Robin Hood. She made some pretty good money too, smart businesswoman, but the heart of the camp was always the kids. The fun will always be in the forest. That legacy will live on forever. She was an icon of community, courage, and strength, and she fought for that in the face of injustice time and time again. She was a woman who earned respect and commanded it gracefully, a true class act. At her core, though, the values were simple: hardworking, family-oriented, charming, humble, calm, generous, compassionate, supportive, curious, and committed. When she committed, she committed. She only quit bridge when she was fired by her teacher, who told her she would never get it. She still tried. A woman of the world, well-traveled with a relentless desire to explore the world and all its wonders, peoples, and culture. A gift she bestowed upon all of her family. An avid reader with a thirst for knowledge that never dwindled. Up until the very end, when her vision started failing her, I would visit and read nighttime stories in bed, like she did when I was a boy. It was a special bonding time that I will cherish forever. The same story she told me, I told back to her with some added New Age stories about diversity and inclusivity. The curiosity and excitement was always there in her eyes. And if more than a week went by without a story, I would get a call guilting me to come visit for story time. Oh, that Jewish guilt. She really knew how to get what she wanted with it. She nagged at times, but she never, ever complained. In her later years, even if she was sick, she would say, "Oh, I'm fine, what are you having for dinner?" Other-centric always, and always focused on the positive and what's next. Bravery and strength in the face of all fears, crises, and challenges. Always forward with a fond remembering of the past. Always a story to be told and a memory to be relived and shared. A truly remarkable woman with a genuine and quite progressive acceptance for all. Such profound character. Paula gave so much, needed so little, needed and took so little, and loved so vastly and deeply. I will forever remember those big blue eyes that lit up with a wide beaming smile at pleasure small and large alike. The type of smile that was contagious and instantly brought warmth that permeated the air around her. I am not only eternally grateful to Paula, but also to the many who helped take care of her after my grandfather and my father passed. You know who you are. She always had community and everyone loved her. It was beautiful to be surrounded by that energy. I will forever remember so many things that were so special about my dearest grandmother, my mom, my best friend. Forever will she be with you, with me, with all of us. Paula's life here on earth as we know it may have ended, but a light that bright never truly dies. Paula's shine will shine forever. Say hi to Grandpa and Dad for me, my sweet angel.
Hello, it is so nice to be surrounded by so many loved ones. I'm Augusta, I'm here with Izzy and Lily. Our sister Ari and her husband Josh are joining us from Zoom.
We wanted to begin with an excerpt from a love letter from our Grandpa Gene that felt especially poignant today. Dear Paula, I am writing to you because, well, anyway, I'm writing to you. What a stupid statement. Seriously, I've been thinking of only two things all day, you and you.
Growing up in Michigan, we always cherished the surprise visits from Grandma and Grandpa. We would come home from school and our parents would tell us to go to the backyard, and we'd see them on the lawn chairs with a newspaper covering their faces. This was the best feeling. Grandpa, of course, would ask for a hug multiple times a day. Grandma brought tons of presents and an endless supply of homemade chocolate chip cookies. We'd always count on Grandma to bring the sweets. A joyful memory for us is when Grandma would come to school as our special guest and read to our class. Hats for sale, anyone? She will always be our special reading guest and more. She made each of us and everyone around her feel loved, and that's a beautiful gift we will take with us.
Each summer, we look forward to spending a week at Robin Hood. We were treated like royalty. And I'm talking golf cart rides and pool after hours. Even the meals were named after us. We always knew where she stashed the cookies in the main office at Robin Hood.
One thing we could always count on was the constant ring of Grandma's phone. She was somehow found more than 24 hours in the day to call all of her friends and her family, not only just to say hello, but to really, truly check in on them. House phone in one hand, phone in the other is how I will always remember you. Friends, family, and being a diehard carnivore are a few of the traits I know will forever live on with me. As there will never be enough words or stories or love to end this speech, we will leave you with one last excerpt from Grandpa. I've been thinking for 10 minutes on how to close this letter. I'll just say, so long for a while. We love you, Grandma.
My grandma was truly one of one. As the youngest of 15 grandchildren, she taught me the real meaning of family and the importance of bringing people together. Everyone said it, and it couldn't be more true. She was the matriarch. She taught me to always add the full bag of chocolate chips, even when the recipe only called for a cup. She was the real brains behind the Roberts clan, from buying Robin Hood, to finding our home in East Hampton, to changing our last name from Rodenstein to Roberts, because she refused to have Rodden in her last name. What I loved most is no matter how old she got, she was always looking for her next love. Truly, even up until last week. That was just who she was, hopeful and always ready for the next chapter. But more than anything, her true legacy was with her family, her 5 children, her 15 grandchildren, and her 8 great-grandchildren. And she will live on in all of us every day for the rest of our lives.
Okay. I just want to tell one story. I didn't write it down. My dad said just take the mic and keep going. As long as you want, it's your attention. They have to listen to you. So, no, I'm just kidding. So one story is when I was in law school, every time before I had a test, I would get all nervous, and this is a true story and became our tradition. Everyone in the room was all nervous and a lot of pressure, et cetera. And 2 minutes before the test, I would walk out and just remove myself and call my grandma. And it became our thing because I immediately calmed down because she, put everything into perspective and said, hey, how are you? And she didn't know I was stepping out of the room to give her a call. She said, "How's your day? And how are you doing? And good luck with your test." And that became our tradition. So every single test for 3 years, I called her right before, and I would come in 10 minutes late. And they would say, "You're late," and I said I was busy. And this is actually a true story, but it just shows that she was everything, true and good, and you could remove yourself from a stressful situation. And she was kind of everything that was, pure and good, and she was really sweet and special, and really unbelievable woman. And one thing too is she was everyone's grandma, and my dad said that too, but it really is true. We have friends here, and it's similar to our family. There's just always so much love, and she was really the matriarch of our family. And lastly, I was very happy that she was at my wedding, which did happen. I know some of you all weren't there. I'm here, but she was there, and it was a hot invite, but I was so happy that was the last wedding she was at, and she was, kept saying how happy she was to be there, and it was such a blessing, and always be grateful for that.
So I think most people in life, they have their family, but their extended family they're not as close with as my grandma was. She didn't just have 5 children. I think everybody can speak to it. She had 15 children, and even her great-grandchildren she treated as her own. She had a special relationship with all of us, people like Josh, Sam, Jacob, and others, Jamie. She was there for them. I got your name in, Jamie. She truly treated everybody like they were their child. There was a few people in life you don't want to disappoint. One, for example, is my mom. But when you're around Grandma, you knew you had to perk up and do everything she said and make sure that if she asked you something, that you would do it and that you would be gracious when you did that. I think everybody knows a story about that, and just making sure they showed love to my grandma. So that's mostly what I wanted to say. And then you could see the room, the love that Grandma had for everybody, and everybody has a story that they can say about my grandma. So thank you all for coming, and thanks so much.
Good morning. It's a hard act to follow. So I want to just give you my first time I met Paula. Most of these people have heard this before, but I'm going to enhance it for your benefit. So it was the summer of 1972. I had met a beautiful young 19-year-old, gorgeous young lady by poolside at, yes, Pierce Country Day School, where I worked. And fortunately for me, she asked her mom to get her a job outside of the Robin Hood family for certain personal reasons. And she called up Buddy Pierce, and she got a job. I think I was the rifle instructor that they used to call me Mr. BB. And she had a Pierce Country Day School bus parked in the driveway of 115 Poplar. So I got up enough courage that summer to ask her out for a date. And unfortunately, I had to cancel the first date because I had a softball game, and which I think you attended, actually. And so I'm now picking her up for the double feature Marx Brothers at the Americana Mall. And, naively, I'm a, 21-year-old kid. I'm going to pick up, date, and I expect her to be at the door greeting me. But no, it was Paula. So I go, uh-oh, this has never happened to me before. Well, before she actually let me in the doorway, at the front door, she starts asking me, I'm still on the outside now, you understand this? And she starts asking me questions about where I live, what I'm doing, what are my aspirations. And then she says, okay, now you can come in. So I walk in, I'm still looking for my date, nowhere to be seen. Lori starts descending down the stairway, just eyeing who the guy is. And all of a sudden, Paula yells out, Eugene! I don't know who Eugene is. And out from the den comes this gentleman wearing a blue bathrobe with blue pajamas. It's 6 o'clock at night. I'm going, this is a good family. So far, so good. He had a little mustard on his cheek. I got that line from Lou. But this is true. This is all true. So now I'm in the vestibule area, the house. I still haven't seen my date. And now Eugene starts asking me a couple of questions. Where do you live? What do you do? He said, okay, and he walks back to the den. So I feel so proud that Paula actually let me in to the house. And so much that she let me move in to the house that summer of '72. And I met what I believe to be the greatest family on the face of the earth. And as John Lennon said, I think I passed the audition. Thank you.
Okay, so you all heard a lot of stuff, and it's probably some going to be on repeat. But I did have a similar story with Michael. His parents had a big fight the night that we went out for dinner when we first met, but I won't get into that right now. They made up. Needless to say, they didn't say a word during dinner. Paula, Mom, Grandma, wife, great-grandma, Peppy, matriarch, teacher, GGP, from someone who called me in the back, Roslyn Royalty, simply the GOAT. That was my line, sorry, Michael. She was the leader of this family, our matriarch, a guiding force. So many of the extended Robin Hood family. She led and taught, not with speeches, but as you've heard today, by example. I will never forget the first year I hosted Thanksgiving dinner after our families merged. I had more than 50 people in my home, and the Roberts family, that's not even considered a big number. Michael was the youngest of 5, and we already had our big team everywhere we went. Michael stole this from me. When Paul and Jean entered a room, especially one place in particular, they were like movie stars. The Boca Beach Club Hotel, it took them 30 minutes to walk from the car to their seats because they had to greet everyone on the way. They were a true power couple. Paula, a teacher by trade, but a sharp, instinctive, shrewd businesswoman by nature. Everyone treated her like family, and the feeling was mutual. Everyone at Robin Hood and in the Roslyn community and all over respected and adored her. The same family spirit followed her to East Hampton, as was told, where she and Eugene were pioneers buying waterfront property more than 60 years ago. That house, along with their home in Roslyn, became a haven, a place where the family laughed, played, grew together. Everyone wanted to be there. The family was and still is glue. Beyond running the camp and building this beautiful family, my mother-in-law traveled the world. That's where I get it from. China, Morocco, Europe, Asia, and as mentioned before, Germany most recently. She took each of her 15 grandchildren on a special trip for their bar bat mitzvah. London, Paris, a cruise, an island adventure. Creating those memories brought her true joy. And Paul and Eugene loved their weekends in the city, staying in a hotel, seeing a show, and mostly enjoying life together. I once asked Paula how Robin Hood began. We were merging from the LIE to the Grand Central. So next time you go onto that Grand Central, you look on the right. She pointed out a small park. "This is the park," she said, where Eugene and I started Robin Hood, picking out places and picking up kids for weekend excursions. From that little park, they eventually went to buy 15 rural acres in a town called Brookville. Need I say more? I want to thank my mother-in-law for showing me the ropes. Many of you know that I've taken on the role of matriarch in my own family when my mother passed. But Paula showed me how to do it well. She raised her 3 grandsons like her own children. She welcomed first cousins and extended family into her homes in East Hampton and Florida, giving them carte blanche. She taught the grandchildren the importance, as said, of baking with love, so much that Gabrielle wrote her college essay about baking chocolate chip cookies with Grandma. And Danny and the rest of the grandchildren, as you've noticed, can't wait and love to bake those chocolate chip cookies. Her children were dedicated and devoted to her. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Lori, Kathy, Deborah, and Michael for their devotion to their mom, and of course, the others have we mentioned. Paul had a special magnetism. Everyone wanted to be with her. I feel blessed to have learned the priceless lessons from her. Be kind, be patient, be smart, be educated, travel the world, seek culture, know that family comes first. Paula lived this truth with everyone, from her beloved aides, Donna, Andrea, and Vilma, to cousins in California, New Jersey, Philly. She included everyone. And of course, she has one of her best friends here, and of course, in spirit, we know in Florida, we have the Kingsley's Flo. Recently, on her 94th birthday, just 4 days after being in the hospital, she insisted on celebrating. She needed her steak, and she needed to bring the bone home, classic Paula. My nephew, Jacob, flew in from California, and he whispered something in my ear that moved me deeply. He said, "Aunt Michelle, I know you will take on the role of matriarch when Grandma isn't here. You will keep this family together. And of course, Jake, I will. Big shoes to fill, but I'll do it. Rest in peace, Paula, my mother-in-law, my confidant, my wonderful friend. I will miss confiding in you, hearing your great advice, and feeling your steady presence. I promise I will never stop pushing Michael, my kids, and the Roberts family to be the best that we can be. I will keep the standards high, and I will keep this family together. The Roberts clan and all of our traditions, including left, right, center, always. We love you and miss you already."
I'm the last speaker, and when you're last speaker, it either means you're very good or no one cares. So first of all, I'd like to say good evening to everybody. Those of you who don't know me, I'm referred to in the Roberts family as Paula's favorite son. Michael, I've been waiting all day to sing you on that. Basically, if you don't like some of these stories or you want to hear other stories, you could find me at the Shiva, and I'll fill you in on the real stories. But what I want to say is, Paula is a beautiful, intelligent, wonderful woman. To think that she gave birth to Laura, no, all right. Let me get back on track. I'm here to talk about Paula, my mother-in-law. Now, some people consider me an expert on mothers. I had a mother, and my mother was wonderful. The true Holocaust surviving mother who thought her son can walk on water. Then I met Paula. Paula's another version, 2.0. Not better, just different. And Paula and I had a tremendous relationship. She was a mother-in-law, but that's not really it. She was my friend. I would come home from work late at night, tiptoe in, not to wake up Lori, and Paula was always up, and we would speak. And then, now I have Lori as the mother that I see. And Lori's not 1.0, 2.0, she's Apple. She's a totally different animal, and I think all of them are a different person, and I think collectively I have the Mount Rushmore of mothers. But they are very different. Now, we know that at the ceremony we're aching because of Paula's passing. But since I'm the last speaker, I have to tell you this. This is a real celebration. And with the rabbi's approval, I'd like everybody just to give a little clap to a life well lived. Paula was an amazing, amazing person. She was more than my mother-in-law. She was my dear friend, my confidant, my cheerleader. So what can I say other than, Paula, you are never going to be missed. You're always going to be with us. You've instilled too much in all of us on love, life, family. So God bless you, and we'll think about you every day. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Lou, but I just want to say correction. I'm the last speaker. And on that note, happy Hanukkah. First off, I want to thank all the speakers this morning. Particularly, I want to thank Michael Roberts for naming all 40 names, so I don't have to do that. And for pointing out that your clan is truly the Jewish Kennedys. I never would have thought that, but I think you're quite deserving for lack of a better description. She was a beautiful woman. I only got to know her later in life. And unfortunately, our first meeting was under tragic circumstances, as I was a newly minted rabbi here, and you were losing your father, Eugene. And I can still remember coming out to your house in Brookville, and I was introduced to him, and he suddenly opened his eyes and said, "I'm not dead yet, I'm not dead yet." And there are other sad occasions, but there are also happy occasions, the smachot and b'nai mitzvah. And just as Lou pointed out, when we think of her, we should think of the happiness and all the life and the joy that she created, because like I said, she lost people very close to her, in some cases before their time, but that never embittered her. And I think that's truly significant. I also want to say to to her children and to her 15 grandchildren, my lucky number 15, and to her 8 grandchildren, and to all those who knew her and those who are going to come after her. She's not really gone. And while death ends a life, it doesn't end a relationship. And we have to take some amount of comfort in that. Before we conclude here with the singing in the Hebrew and the English of the Amalei Rachamim in her honor, I want to point out the interment will be taking place at Woodbridge, New Jersey. Woodbridge, New Jersey. So if you're joining us for the processional, it's going to be right outside. So please go to your cars as soon as possible and line up with the hearse and the limousine. After the interment, the family's going to be sitting Shiva at Lou and Lori's house this evening at 28 Fairview Lane in East Williston from 7 to 9 p.m. with an evening service at 7:30, and tomorrow from 12 to 7 p.m. And in lieu of flowers, a donation can be made in her name to the Sunrise Day Camp Association or Friends of Karen. I'd like to ask everyone at this time to please rise as Cantor Caravani leads us in Paula's honor in the El Malei Rachamim. First he'll chant in the Hebrew, and then I'll recite it in the English.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע, מזהירים לנשמת פרל בת משה, שהלכה לעולמה. בגן עדן תמנוחתה, אנא בעל הרחמים, אז תראה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר אמן.
El Malei Rachamim, exalted compassion God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Paula Roberts, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May Paula's soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in a most well-deserved peace. And let us all say, Amen. I'd like to request that extended family and friends remain standing for the moment, and that Paula's children and grandchildren, and of course her in-laws who are like her children, have a moment to help us process the casket from here to the waiting limousine just outside.